Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky visited the front line in the Kupiansk region on Monday in a trip aimed at boosting morale. With depleted stocks of ammunition and a delay in a much-needed US aid package, the Ukrainian leader says Russia is taking advantage and amassing maximum reserves at key points on the battlefront. Ukrainian troops have recently been forced to withdraw from the town of Avdiivka, having been outnumbered by Russian forces after 4 months of assault. Russia's Ministry of Defense has released footage of its troops taking back the city. The victory is, quote, positive for Russia, said Putin, days ahead of the 2-year anniversary of the war. A Russian state broadcaster has also aired footage showing troops searching through the remains of the newly captured city for mines and booby traps. But the reality is that Avdiivka has been left in ruins. Russian troops are not thought to have any intention of lingering there. The latest reports say they are pushing on, seeking further advances in case Ukraine finally gets the ammunition supplies it needs. The death toll among Palestinians in Gaza has surpassed 29,000, according to the territory's health ministry. It marks another grim milestone in a truly destructive military campaign. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to continue the offensive until, quote, total victory against Hamas. He has said troops will move into the southern town of Rafah, where over half of Gaza's 2.3 million people have sought refuge if the remaining Israeli hostages are not released by start of Ramadan. The Israeli military released a video showing what is believed to be 2 children and their mother being led through the streets of the town of Khan Yunis after their kidnapping on October the 7th. The conflict has brought nearly daily exchanges of fire between Israel and Lebanon's Hezbollah militant group, which supports Hamas. On Monday, Israeli warplanes carried out 2 strikes on the port city of Sidon, saying the target was a Hezbollah weapons depot. Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny's widow, Yulia Navalnaya, has vowed to continue her husband's work. She has been attending talks in Brussels with European Union foreign ministers to discuss how to make Russia accountable for her husband's death. Navalnaya was welcomed by the EU's top diplomat, Josep Borrell, who said he knows who to blame for her husband's death.
In the middle of the meeting, we receive Yulia Navalnaya, and we pay tribute to the memory of Alexei Navalny, that, as you know, he was slowly murdered in a Russian jail by Putin's regime. I think these are the words: slowly murdered in a Russian jail by Putin's regime.
Yulia Navalnaya has previously avoided the political spotlight, but in a video recorded outside Russia, she says she will take on her husband's political fight for change in Russia. Meanwhile, Navalny's mother has gone to the penal colony in the Arctic where her son collapsed and died, according to authorities. His body won't be released for a fortnight. His wife is accusing them of hiding evidence of the real cause of death, which she says is poisoning. The EU is calling for an investigation along with fresh sanctions on Russia. Navalny's death has resonated across Europe and beyond. Vigils are being held in numerous capitals. In Rome, a candlelight gathering was attended by hundreds of demonstrators expressing their anger following the death of Putin's fiercest foe.
EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has declared her intention to run for a second term. She made the announcement after a meeting with the leadership of the Christian Democratic Union Party in Berlin. 5 years ago, she decided to run for office rather ad hoc. This time, the situation is completely different, she says.
Heute, 5 Jahre später, treffe ich eine ganz bewusste und wohl überlegte Entscheidung, Die Welt heute ist eine gänzlich andere als 2019. Wir haben gemeinsam viel durchgemacht in den vergangenen 5 Jahren und ich glaube, man kann sagen, wir haben mehr geschafft, als wir uns je vorstellen konnten. In diesen 5 Jahren ist nicht nur meine Leidenschaft für Europa gewachsen, sondern natürlich auch meine Erfahrung, wie viel dieses Europa für seine Menschen leisten kann.
Von der Leyen will now stand as the European People's Party lead candidate in the European Parliament elections in June. By announcing her candidacy, von der Leyen has put an end to a months-long speculation about her political future. Her second term in Brussels would have one overriding objective, she says.
We want to strengthen democracy of Europe in the European Union, and we want to address all the challenges around us, but in a way that people know that there's safety and security within the European Union for them.
For many across the world, von der Leyen has become the main European interlocutor. Her re-election would ensure continuity as the world faces multiple crises.
Ursula von der Leyen was approved by the European Parliament on the 16th of July 2019 to be President of the European Commission. Soon, she became one of the most influential leaders in Europe, but her mandate was heavily marked by different crises and lately overshadowed by criticism related to Europe's green transition. In March 2020, Europe faced lockdowns and panic due to the coronavirus. The Commission eventually opted for a joint vaccines procurement and set up a monetary fund to boost the economy. Both initiatives were welcomed across Europe.
The recovery fund, well, the base is that we take loans together and we stand in solidarity with each other. That was also progress. Unfortunately, the dissemination of the money was not enough bound to the Green Deal measurements and also the controlling mechanisms on how effectively this money is spent.
Shortly after Vladimir Putin launched his war in Ukraine in 2022, von der Leyen travelled to Kyiv and Bucha to show Europe's support.
Here in Bucha, we saw our humanity being shattered.
In the following months, the EU sanctioned Russia, cut energy ties with it, granted financial aid and weapons to Kyiv, and eventually opened the way towards the EU membership of Ukraine.
They belong to us, they are one of us, and we want them in.
These were all firsts under the leadership of von der Leyen.
She is combining really a very good combination of personal, emotional and psychological, appeal both to Ukrainians and to Europeans, and also very clear practical vision of what is needed to be done for Ukraine. All the statements about solidarity, about our support to Ukraine need to be, supported by clear, steps, clear measures, and that is what Ursula von der Leyen really she's able to achieve.
Critics say while von der Leyen was clearly committed to the Green Deal in the first years of her mandate, her enthusiasm has faded away due to lobbying from big businesses. While her party, the EPP, tried to hijack the nature restoration law, the Commission watered down the car emissions phase-out and made various concessions to protesting farmers.
She has been giving in to this pressure substantially, which was quite disappointing, not just for me as a member of the parliament, but for big parts of society.
If von der Leyen is elected again, she is likely to concentrate on EU defence policy, as well as reforming the bloc to be able to accept new members. Astronomers at the European Southern Observatory say they have discovered what may be the brightest object in the universe. It's a quasar with a black hole at its centre, some 12 billion light-years from Earth. Quasars are the bright cores at the centre of distant galaxies. Calculations indicate it's 500 trillion times brighter than the Sun.
This outshines tens of thousands of galaxies just like the Milky Way. So this is 10,000 times brighter than our entire Milky Way. And the Milky Way is 100 billion stars. So this is one supermassive black hole versus 100 billion stars.
The object was first detected in 1980, but was thought to be a star. That's now been changed by the latest observations in computer modelling, which show the quasar is devouring the equivalent of 370 suns per year. It's also still growing, but astronomers don't yet know how fast.
A strike at the Eiffel Tower leaves thousands of tourists unable to see one of the most visited monuments in the world. Unions said the strike is aimed at increasing salaries in proportion to the incoming revenue from ticket sales and improved maintenance of the monument, which is owned by the Paris municipality.
Ils assurent une rentabilité à court terme au détriment d'une conservation du monument et d'assurer la pérennité de l'entreprise dans laquelle on travaille.
There is resignation and disappointment among tourists.
On était en vacances, on venait pour voir la Tour Eiffel, on reviendra un autre jour. Donc, mais bon, les mouvements de grève, je trouve un petit peu défigurer un peu la France en montrant tous ces panneaux CGT envers les tourismes étrangers. Je pense que ça salit un petit peu l'image de la France.
I've been to the Eiffel Tower for the past 2 days, but I have not been able to go into the tower yet, and so knowing that I can't come to the tower today is very, very disappointing. I came here for my birthday, but at least I still get to see it. I appreciate the workers wanting to keep the tower going for the next few hundred years that it can stand.
The Eiffel Tower is typically open 365 days a year. Monday's closure is the second in 2 months due to strikes.